Let's move on to our continuing coverage of the Indian Prime Minister's significant Europe trip. Prime Minister Narendra Modi landed in Berlin. After Germany, Prime Minister Modi will also visit Denmark and France. This is Prime Minister Modi's first visit abroad in the year 2022. While in Berlin, he will be holding bilateral talks with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. The two leaders will co-chair the 6th edition of the India-Germany Intergovernmental Consultations, or the IGC. Several other ministers from both sides will participate in the high-level talks. Prime Minister Modi met the Indian diaspora in Berlin. People extended a warm welcome to their Indian Prime Minister.
पूरा दौरा प्रधानमंत्री का ये दौरा तमाम चुनौतियों से निपटने का मूल मंत्र दे सकता है। समाधान निकालने के लिए तमाम विचार विमर्श होंगे और इसीलिए
The next stop will be Copenhagen. Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette Frederiksen, has invited Prime Minister Modi. He will participate in the second India-Nordic summit hosted by Denmark. Prime Minister Modi will interact with other Nordic leaders, including Prime Ministers of Iceland, Norway, Sweden and Finland. He will also attend an India-Denmark business forum. Prime Minister Modi will then meet the Indian community in Denmark. The summit will focus on issues of common interest like post-pandemic, economic recovery, climate change, renewable energy, evolving global security scenario, innovation, technology, and India-Nordic cooperation in the Arctic. Last but not least, Modi will make a brief stopover in Paris. He will meet French President Emmanuel Macron, who was recently elected for the second time. India and France complete 75 years of diplomatic cooperation this year. The high-level meeting comes at a time when Russia continues its invasion of Ukraine. The European Union is trying to find alternatives to Russian oil and gas. Europe's focus is shifting to green energy to reduce dependence on Russian energy. European Investment Bank will now focus on sustainable projects in India. Urs Unkauf, Managing Director of the German Federal Association for Economic Development and Foreign Trade, is joining us live from Berlin. Unkauf, thank you very much for making time and welcome to WION.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Why is it important for India to bolster relations with Europe, particularly at this stage when a war is raging in part of the continent?
Partnership between India and Germany and India and Europe has been very strongly developing in many areas, the area of business and trade, in the area of cultural and humanitarian relations, but also regarding the political cooperation in the multipolar world. And from my perspective, and also from the perspective of German foreign trade businesses, it is a very strong sign that Prime Minister Modi is coming in this phase of geopolitical changes to Germany and other European countries to strengthen our relations and also the close cooperations between the government. You mentioned the bilateral government consultations already. They are very important for us to define the agenda of German-Indian and Indian-European relations for the upcoming years. We have many global challenges, overcoming the corona pandemic, climate change, global crisis on raw materials, food security, overcoming global inequality and social issues. And therefore, in this regard, India is a very important partner for Germany and Europe.
Well, apart from bilaterals, New Delhi has made its stance clear that it wants cessation of violence in Ukraine. Will it be possible for European leaders to seek Modi's support as they try to corner Russia?
That is a very strategic question. So from my perspective, it doesn't make sense to push India or even to force India to take a certain position which is not genuine to its political thinking. So, of course, Europe and the member states of the European Union are affected in other terms, also regarding the humanitarian crisis with the Ukrainian refugees and the related aspects. But for India, it is clear that there should be an answer based on the methods of diplomacy, based on negotiations, and based on the rebuilding of mutual trust. And from my perspective, that's a very valuable approach, which we should also more include in the European and German debate.
Live from Berlin, I've been talking to Urs Unkauf, who's the Managing Director of the German Federal Association for Economic Development and Foreign Trade. Thank you very much for making time and for talking to WION today.
Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.